This is Hidden Killers Live with Tony Brueski, Stacey Cole, and Todd Michaels.
All right, today we are stepping into one of the most extraordinary and troubling cases I think that we've ever covered, and we still don't know most of the details. That's what makes it so damn elusive. It's the case that isn't just about one act of violence, but about what can fester inside a justice system when power goes unchecked. In September 2024, inside the Letcher County Courthouse in Whitesburg, Kentucky, Sheriff Shawn Stines walked into the chambers of District Judge Kevin Mullins. It opened fire. We all saw it on video. Judge Mullins died there in his own office. The entire shooting captured on courthouse surveillance. Stines surrendered immediately. He's now indicted for the murder of a public official and awaiting trial, but that single moment didn't happen in a vacuum. 3 days earlier, Stines had been deposed in a federal civil rights lawsuit, Adkins versus Fields. That alleges a pattern of sexual exploitation and coercion tied to the very courthouse where the shooting occurred. In that suit, a former home incarceration officer has already pled guilty for SA, sodomy, and tampering. Plaintiffs allege some of the misconduct took place inside Judge Mullins' chambers. Stines was named in that lawsuit for alleged failures of supervision, though not accused of any sort of SA wrongdoing himself. After the shooting, body cam footage shows Stines distraught and paranoid, pleading not to be harmed. His lawyers have filed notice of an insanity or extreme emotional disturbance defense. Prosecutors are opposing bond and have not ruled out seeking the death penalty. At the time, women are now stepping forward publicly, some on the record, with journalists like Brian Enton describing how power, fear, and retaliation kept them silent for years. They've alleged ask for favors arrangements, threats of losing their children, and a courthouse culture that blurred the line between justice and exploitation. These are allegations, not criminal convictions against Judge Mullins, but they frame the environment Stines inhabited before he pulled the trigger. This isn't just a Kentucky story. It's a cautionary tale about what can happen when a small-town justice system becomes a closed ecosystem and accountability collapses. How does an officer sworn to uphold the law reach the point of killing a judge? How do victims weigh speaking out when every official holds power over their freedom? And how can a community rebuild trust when the courthouse itself has become the crime scene? To help us untangle the behavior in this and the power dynamics at play, Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent, former chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. Robin, I just saw the interview recently Brian Enton did with another one of the individuals who's making claims of the ask for favors situation there in the courthouse. And then you got the sheriff, who just days earlier was in that deposition, certainly had a good understanding of what the charges were at stake and what was going on. What kind of psychological profile do you think he had, the sheriff had, as he walked into that courthouse that day that he took the judge's life?
Boy, I've gone full circle on this one a couple times, Tony, because we keep getting more data coming in. And I'm boiling it down to this right now. With the more data coming in, we're starting to see a lot more smoke. Mm-hmm. When I first started seeing this, I was thinking we got a very rare occurrence of a potential psychotic break. Mm-hmm. Because some data points are going in that direction because of patterns of his past behavior and all those things. But as we start, and as Brian Enton's doing a great job of seeing smoke, we might not have quite the psychotic break I was originally thinking, because psychotic breaks, typically if someone is having an episode, they're very random. The paranoia goes in there, which we're seeing some things with him wearing his vest and all those things that have been reported. But what's pulling me away from the psychotic break, and we might have a pattern of really bad, abhorrent behavior that led to this, is the fact that all of his actions of apparently being paranoid were centered around the courthouse. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking we're going to find out a lot of dirty things in the days and weeks to come. And I think he had a plan. I think he'd been planning it for a while. because that's where I'm leaning to right now. I'm less on the side of the psychotic break thing. I think he knew exactly what he was doing and why he was doing it.
Almost the courthouse being a triggering factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's an interesting thing, considering when you consider the chambers itself are at play in this conversation of the allegations that things were happening in the judge's chamber itself. How much do you think? I mean, we are missing a big piece here because, well, Kevin Mullins is dead, the judge, and the allegations are that some of these things took place in his chambers. He is not listed in that civil suit, but obviously another individual is, and there has been charges there. But the fact that his own office, his own chambers, basically, being listed as a place where some of these things took place, and there has been allegations. Again, Kevin's dead. How much are we missing here because he's dead? Before I ask too many other questions.
Yeah, I think he's going to be obviously a centerpiece of the puzzle because that's where the seat of power was and the power of control. I started getting tinges of Alec Murdaugh case on this one, just because of that power control and small town vibe. Kind of almost a little like whatchamacallit, Richard Allen and Delphi, small town, and so. When you see, again, as investigators, hopefully what they're doing is, and I don't have any reason not to believe it, is when you see smoke and you have allegations, you have to run all those allegations down. And even though you have a seat of power at the top, which is controlling things, there's going to be people around them, especially since there was charges against someone else, one of the bailiffs, I think it was, in this case. And so I'm hoping we're going to get some data leakage on this one, because his behavior, the sheriff's behavior, changed at a very certain point, and it became very focused. Even though that observed paranoia became very focused again around that courthouse, around a lot of a lot of crazy, unhealthy behavior, isn't there? That seemed to pop up and spring up. I think, again, if I'm throwing on my conjecture hat, which is all we have at this point, is that he all of a sudden had an aha moment. And when his aha moment happened, he then put on his investigator hat and took a deeper dive, and he didn't like what he found. And I think, again, pure conjecture at this point. But that leads me more to the plan rather than a psychotic break.
Yeah.
Robin.
Yes, Stacy.
So I've got a question, and obviously it's a very broad question. Do you think this is going on in other municipalities across the nation? Do you think this is a one-off? Do you think that there are elements of this, just based on what you've seen in your career, do you think that this is something that's going on in other communities, that there's just this bubbling cauldron of something that's about to blow in another community?
So I don't think it's systemic,
Okay.
as a quick answer, because it's just not. But at the same time, the old rule of if you see one, there's probably 10 others. And so, and typically what we do here and what media does is it's easier to kind of find and focus on the abhorrent behavior. And one of the reasons we do that is so we can prevent it in other areas too, because in each case that we look at and examine, there's red flags that led up to this. And one of the things we do as both opinion pieces that we do, as well as investigative pieces that we try to, I think, blend the two together here, is bring light to it so we can prevent these things from happening in all the other cases. But that being said, I don't think systemic, because why are these things not systemic? Because a lot of people have to know, and by and large, as a species, we are good people. We want to do moral and ethical things. One of the reasons we have laws is to have accountability for each other, and we are our brother's keeper. And so in these larger municipalities, it's harder to do these things. But are there smaller areas where there's family control for periods of time? There's and a slow boiling frog, which a little bit of bad behavior here over a period of time escalating becomes more acceptable and more and more acceptable, until you have one person that finally says, I've had enough, or they move in from out of town and they're not part of that cult. And so, but again, long answer to, I don't think systemic, but do I think there's others? Yes. There's most, it's hard not to imagine there isn't others.
It makes you wonder just, how much of it, they all kind of, when it happens, it comes to the surface at different times. It doesn't seem like this is coming to the surface because of any sort of other existential factors in society. I mean, it's more so other than, this event exposed it. That there already was an event that exposed it, the initial lawsuit that was filed, and then others realizing, oh gosh, we haven't heard a lot of anything from anybody within the law enforcement area, within the courthouse area, within anything of the legal judicial system, people who work in that building, basically. We've heard a lot from other people on the outside. A lot of women have come forward with these allegations of coercion tied to their legal outcomes. Why do you think it is that we haven't heard a lot of, I don't know, tampering that down if it's not true? You would think that if some of these things were not really going on, you would hear a lot more. That's not how our courthouse works. No, we hear like dead silence. It seems to be a lot of crickets about what actually goes on in this courthouse, from anyone who's working the front desk to, the judge.
Yeah, what people don't say is almost as most importantly important as what people do say. You can learn a lot by what is said and what is not said, timing of all those things. And silence can be deafening and can be very revealing as well. And again, you can't jump to a conclusion, but you can also say we need to take a deeper look, because why isn't that happening? What's the goal and objective of not saying something? Is it because they're really well organized in their media releases and their publicity people, or is because they're deathly afraid? Fear is always the greatest motivator of all of us, and it's what keeps people from saying things is fear, and then we rationalize our behaviors. So could all this be going on? It's possible.
And I want to talk about that, the rationalizing of the behaviors. And I'm not saying like everybody in this courthouse is doing something wrong, but there's a lot of people, I'm going to assume, in that courthouse who have some knowledge of the wrongdoing, or at least the inkling of it. And it's like, well, what am I going to do about it? I work over here at the mail room, as if that's even a position anymore. But other ancillary parts around the building where they weren't involved in these things, but rumors travel, and you go, oh, I think I know that that's going on. But there's nothing they could have done about it if they wanted to stay employed. Right. And there's that pressure to be quiet, because if you were to make an accusation and you can't prove it, well, then you're going to get sued. And so there's a lot of reasons to be quiet. But at the same point, I guess I'm wondering how much, when you're living in an environment like that day after day, is it living in fear of exposing it, or is it just it's so normalized? I'm wondering how people in that courthouse are feeling right now as all this goes on. On the outside, we look at this going, oh my gosh, like this is twisted stuff here. And if we were to assume that others have some knowledge here and are doing exactly what I just said, are they living in fear? Or I'm wondering if they're looking at this as, oh, come on, this happens everywhere. The rationalizing of the behavior. It's not good, but I wonder how much of that goes on that also further solidifies the thought that there's this level of unhealthy craziness around it, but we can't quite accept the level to which it is because it's so extreme, so we normalize it down to another place.
It's probably a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So here's one of the laws of human nature is we're always going to act in our own best interest in terms of our safety, security, and prosperity from our own point of view, from whatever context and situation we're living in. And so all these individuals are acting in what they think is their best interest and comes down to fear of reprisal, fear of not being able to move. And what that looks like to that individual could be very different. So say you have one individual that is witting that, hey, something was going on. So they're going to keep their mouth shut because they're fearful that someone's going to find out that they were involved. You can have others that had no idea anything's going on, but now they're hearing these allegations and they're fearful of being connected in some way. So they're going to keep their heads down. There's all kinds of reasons why people are taking the actions they're taking. And it's hard to predict exactly what's causing it, but we're getting data on all this. And so the rationalizing of it, we rationalize things when we want to believe. We want to believe what we want to believe. And if we have a job, because remember, we're going to act in our own best interests, as I said, for ourselves and our families, those we care about. And if we don't feel we have other options, if we feel like we're trapped, and we only get an inkling of this might be going on, isn't it going on? If I had an option, if I don't have direct firsthand knowledge, again, there's not going to be a lot of people that have very, very clear firsthand knowledge. If anything was going on with the judge or anyone else, it's going to be a very, very small, tight circle. Now there's going to be leakage of other people that might think or might not think something was going on. What happens is, if you don't want to believe it, what do we do with our confirmation bias? We're going to look at and only take in data that's going to help us rationalize nothing was going on. Mm-hmm. So we can feel better about who we are, because we don't want to be the type of person that allows abhorrent behavior to go on around us, or even be associated with that as in a workplace, because that will destroy our own self-image. It'll destroy our own being. And so that's how we as human beings will rationalize otherwise really, really abhorrent behavior. And then you cascade on top of it groupthink. Mm-hmm. Well, if no one else is saying anything, it must be all right. And I like Billy Bob Joe. He's a great guy. And
Billy Bob Joe's great.
I love Billy Bob Joe.
You know, he's a half step above Schmuckatelli.
Yes, he is. I like Billy Bob.
You know, but these people, you know, they will look to others to gauge what their behavior and reaction should be. And if you have someone you respect in your life, you have someone that has time, a lot more time in a position than you do, and you see what they're doing and what their behaviors are, and then you try to understand them and say, well, this is a really good family person. They have a really good standing. They're really good in their church. They're good morals and ethics. And if they're not saying anything here, it must be okay. And so I'll just look the other way, because maybe there's no other way to look. That's how we as human beings do this, because if we did anything other than this, we'd be invalidating ourselves. We don't like doing that. It hurts us psychologically.
Mm-hmm. You know, Tony, you and I have worked in places, and I'm nothing like this went on, but you and I have worked in similar places where there were things going on and people kind of looked the other way, and it was a family organization.
Yeah.
You kind of get into this mode where it's self-preservation. I need this job. I need to continue with what I'm doing. This is my career. But yet at some point you do break. I mean, Robin, you're 100% correct. At one point the volcano just blows, and you got to go. You got to get out. You got to figure out something different because you can't tolerate it. But it's amazing how humans can just do the status quo because it's just easier. It's just easier.
And so, Stacey, to your point, this is exactly what you need to do. Not you, but people need to do if you're going to be an investigator, but going to be an interviewer, is what we just did here. Is we just did a very deep dive on empathy. Because now that you understand those people, again, if there's anything going on, but it doesn't matter. Regardless, they're going to be interviewing all these people in that courthouse. They're going to be interviewing people that are surrounding these allegations. And if you're going to go in and interview someone, you can't go in and interview thinking in your head, oh, if you let this go on, you're really, really a horrible individual and a horrible human being. And I'm going to sit here and judge the living hell out of you for this. Do you think the likelihood of you making a connection and them sharing with you all that was going on is high or low? It's extremely low. So you have to go in with an understanding of what would compel someone to not say something. Mm-hmm. Well, we just went through it. And then you can empathize with it. It doesn't mean you agree that it was the right or wrong thing to do. No. Just understand the decision process. We walked a mile in their shoes and said, hey, this is a really tough situation you're in. You know, what can we do together maybe to move the ball forward a little bit, to right some wrongs that others did, you know, together. So that's how we do these interviews. This is how we get to the truth, is always thinking in terms of what can I do to inspire someone to share the truth with me before they have an opportunity to deceive. And that's how you do it. You dive deep to understand them. And so that you don't do the worst thing in the world is take a look at some shame and say, hey, look at your shame. Now tell me everything. It never works.
It doesn't work. They put up their walls even harder.
Well, sure.
They reinforce those walls to keep you from getting the information you're looking for.
I want to talk about the confirmation bias that could exist if the trial does take place there in Letcher County. I know they're talking about possibly moving it. And I think you can look at it from both ways in some perspectives, but I want to look at it this way because I don't think a lot of people are seeing it. One could look at it and go, oh, well, if this is happening in their town, then they're going to find him guilty no matter what, just because. I don't know. What I'm wondering about in the confirmation bias here is in this kind of small knit community, you don't necessarily want to believe these sort of things are going on, and a lot of the victims that you have here have criminal records, substance abuse issues, CPS involvement. They're not clean slates, and in no way does that mean that these people are lying or making things up. No, these are oftentimes the victims of these sort of things. But again, that's asking human beings to understand, psychology and think more than one thought ahead. That being said, you're going to have a lot of witnesses here that are again, I'm not trying to denigrate these people at all, but if you're on the jury and you're seeing them come in, some are gonna go, oh, they're kind of icky. They're kind of, I wouldn't do that. I don't have a record. I didn't have this problem. I didn't have that problem. And people will go for that sort of a bias. And I could see in some cases then discrediting them mentally, whether they deserve it or not, or just automatically doing that because, again, they don't want to believe this is going on in their own town, and preserving that image in their mind, whether, even though it is going on in their own town and there is evidence for it. I wonder how much that kind of an angle, and that could be an issue here if they do keep this trial in Letcher County.
It's definitely something that the lawyers deal with. And again, I'm not a lawyer, defense or prosecutor, but one way you counter that, at least as a behavior guy, this is the way I counter that, is so let's think about it. How would you overcome a negative confirmation bias with someone who's saying that this person did abhorrent things? We knew the judge was doing this, sexual favors for lighter sentences or whatever it was. And this person's got a really shady, creepy background. But see, if you're painting it in that picture of right now of shady, creepy background, and you're trying to discredit, what I do is what we do here all the time is, well, let's take a deeper look at this life arc. We'll go with Sally Jane on this one. Sally Jane, tell me about what it was like growing up for you. So in other words, what they do is you humanize the individual. And then when you start humanizing that individual, the words they say mean a lot more than just some subjective, thing that is just a title and label of, oh, they're a drug addict, they're an alcoholic. Well, that's dehumanizing someone. If you humanize them, the words coming out of their mouth tend to mean a lot more because, again, the defense attorney or whatever is going to walk them in their shoes so you can understand them. And then the other key thing is to demonstrate that this is not someone with an axe to grind. This is someone who's actually making amends in their lives. They're just merely laying out facts and details. And here's how you do it. You have to trust them.
Yeah.
And the way you trust people is, again, they have to show transparency, openness, and vulnerability. Those behaviors inspire someone to believe you. So when you can actually own your behavior, yes, I was this person, here's the things I did wrong in my life, here's what I've gone in my life, and they don't try to sell you on anything. They allow you to make the choice on how you think they are now. Because I've seen some of these people have actually reformed their lives pretty well. A lot of people, when they go through some trauma, they reform their lives well. So, and if you have a lot of allegations or enough allegations that you're going to have a couple of these individuals that have actually been on this journey of, all right, I started out a beautiful human being like we all do. I went through some real good trauma that really destroyed me, and I hit my bottom. When I hit the bottom, I was in the jail system, in the court system, and all these things, and then all these horrendous things happened to me. But I crawled myself up out of here, and here's just the facts, ma'am. Boom. And then the jury makes a decision. So instead of just saying a drug addict, we now have an arc of a human being that they have a lot more credibility now, because who hasn't hit their own bottom?
Yeah.
Who hasn't done these things? So that's what I would do.
And that's going to be the job of the attorneys to really to sell it to the jury, no matter. Do you think something like this, though, needs to be moved out of that county, no matter what, just because it's just too close to home? It's too tight knit. It's too small. I mean, you're talking about literally having the trial in the place where there's allegations of all this corruption going on.
I mean, my humble opinion, it would probably help it. Because of those things, because fear, you want people to not be fearful and waiting for confirmation bias one way or the other, which is why we have a jury. Juries hopefully are mitigating all these things when they're doing jury selections, because you cannot avoid, and if you're like us all, we all have confirmation bias. It's okay. But
Yeah.
why we have loving critics in our lives, why we have juries of peers. It's why we have prosecution defenses. It's to help us overcome our human frailties of the confirmation bias. But yeah, I think moving the venue would probably help. But again, I'm not the expert in that area.
Yeah, I would. I don't know how you couldn't move the. You don't even have to. I would feel like in a case like this, if there's ever a case that calls for it, where the corruption is literally in the building, that you're going to try and get the case amongst pieces of the infrastructure that would have been in place for allowing some of this stuff to happen. And let's say they've cleaned house. Let's say it's all fresh and so clean, but it's still. The optics, all of that, it needs, they have to think about that.
I mean, just think about this. Not making the attempt would also be pretty telling too, would it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But these people run into all of these people at church and the grocery store. And even if they did clean house, everybody knows somebody in this community. So even though it's a jury of their peers, I think there's still that pressure from the community that you want to protect the infrastructure that's been there for probably a century. Everybody knows everybody, And
the level of personalization, like we said, if you have a personal relationship with someone and and you're going to rationalize because all it's going to take is probable doubt, in one person. It's a trick. I think it's a very tricky situation, but I definitely think it helps moving away from there as much as possible to get a jury pool with less knowledge of this. Again, everyone's going to know about it in that whole area, but just less I guess a better way to put it, less personal connection to this.
What do you make of this? Several interviewees describe being warned not to report the misconduct. This is an allegation that has been made. And of course, I mean, there's, don't, because it, will ruin your, it wasn't just will ruin your reputation or no one will believe you. The allegation is that some were told they'd be found dead over a mountain. That's kind of that's a harsh one. That's a harsh thing to say to somebody after anything for any reason, but especially after you violated them in a horrible way. You talk about this. You'll be found dead somewhere.
Sounds like the mafia, doesn't it?
For a little bit. I mean, and I'm wondering, okay, just threats, or have they ever carried that out? I retrospectively looking on this, that kind of makes me want to look at suspicious deaths in the area over the last handful of years, like over the however long these people have been there, or even longer. Because look, I'm usually things like this just don't happen in a vacuum. It's not always just one person that decides to completely change the way that this ecosystem works. Usually in these judicial type systems, when there's systematic corruption or generational corruption, it's just that. It's generational. It keeps going. Well, the former ones did it this way too. Look at the new perks of the job you have, Mr. Judge. Wait, that's a perk? I mean, in some horrible way, if you have a very sick mind, some of these things, people are like, oh, wow, I can get away with this. It makes me wonder, would you have, are you suspicious at all about, if in fact that threat was made, about, I wonder if they ever did carry that out at some point in time, if there's some legitimacy to that threat?
Yeah, it's definitely something I think they need to investigate that as well, because in order for a threat to be effective, it has to have teeth. And how do threats have teeth? Well, they have to have a past example of it being just that. When I saw that death threat as well, and even because this goes to the sheriff starting to wear the vest around and him making the claims that he feared for himself and his wife, his daughter, that seemed very odd to me. I think that's why people were looking at that whole psychotic break and paranoia. Maybe. unless he found out something about those threats being actually very tangible, very real, because that's what gives things teeth and legs. And again, but that happens if it is systemic over time, and it's a known established fact that if that threat is made, it has the ability to be carried out upon. And I have this example, whether the example is factual in your own mind or it's just urban legend, it still has the same power over you. So urban legend could play a part in it, but it definitely needs to be flushed out. All these things. I mean, just think about every time I see cases like this, I just think about every time we're saying here, this needs to be looked at. This person needs to be interviewed. I'm just thinking about the bandwidth of individuals that need to be interviewed, processed, assimilated, and who's doing that, and what's their objectivity.
They'd have to call in outside people to do all of this.
Yeah,
Just,
100%.
I mean, haul somebody in, put up a trailer outside, and they literally, I can't talk, literally live there for like a year or two to interview people. There's no way that somebody inside this community can be doing the interviews. There's just no way.
Yeah, there's just, this is just such a mess in that community. I want to go there and just hang out for a week and have coffee at the local diner and talk.
You get a vibe. I think that's why I love, and you cited Brian Enton at the very beginning. He does a really good job of getting the vibe on the grounds, because walking the ground, as I used to say, touch it, taste it, feel it, because when you get the energy there and you actually do the interaction, it gives a lot of context to the data we see from 30,000 miles, that's a long way, from 3,000 miles away to that. But that's why it's really, really important to walk the grounds, interaction, to feel, the just the tenor and tempo of the people around you. It goes a long way.
Yeah, there's some very interesting interviews that he's done with some of the folks there. His channel is Brian Enton Investigates. If you want to check them out in their entirety. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section on this case. We would love to hear that. Let's move on now to the David story, the Celeste story, whatever you want to call it story. A teenage girl's dead in the front trunk of a Tesla, the Frunk, and that vehicle registered to rising music star David. You see him listed as D4VD. No one reports her missing, though. The car sits in plain view for weeks, and when her body is finally discovered, there's silence. No public statement, no arrest, no answers as of right now. We're going to be joined again. Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent, former chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, to continue discussing this story. I know people are going, wait a second, she was reported missing, but let's go back to that for a second. She was a year earlier, and then she was back at home again. So it's appearing at this point in time that she came back. She was on her security camera at her family home, so somebody knew she was back. That just appears to be a factual piece of the story now at this point. There wasn't necessarily a second report of being missing. So I'm wondering, was she ever missing? And let's talk about that for a little bit. When someone goes missing, we have this every single day. Only certain ones seem to get the attention or qualify for the Amber Alert or qualify for whatever alert they're going to put out there. Let's talk about that in our system of what we have going on here of people when they go missing. And is it effective in any way, shape, or form for helping people be found when they are going missing, especially in a situation like this?
Missing. What's the other term for it? You can claim someone's missing, or they've been. There's two things. There's one that triggers an immediate response, and the other actually has to take time.
There's different qualifiers in different places.
And so, just claiming someone's missing, it doesn't really trigger much at all, obviously. So, because again, you get these we just talked about confirmation biases. So the people in someone's life, including the person themselves, that if they're aspiring to do X, Y, and Z, they want to do these great things. So you're going to rationalize the behavior way that, hey, they're not really missing. They're just interacting with so-and-so. They're doing some networking over here. They're doing all these things. And so I think that muddles the entire reporting as well as just being surrounded by unhealthy people doing stupid things. But missing people never, ever gets the attention it needs, especially when young and teenage. This is how people get trafficked.
Yeah, or not white and blonde. That too. That doesn't. Don't seem to get the traction there either.
No, and people get trafficked into these systems because of this problem with reporting and being able to lock people onto them right away and try to track them down. So,
and it's a weird thing that we don't seem to have a very, I don't know, when it happens, the passion isn't there. The passion's there once like they're dead or it gets like, oh, maybe this could be something really horrible. It's a weird thing in society that we don't have the urgency to do it when we could actually make a difference and find the person alive versus when they're not. But again, society would need to know about the person being missing as well. And if the family is not paying enough attention to their own human being, it's hard for anyone to really know if those red flags aren't being raised. And unfortunately, that's usually the starting point. The people who are supposed to care aren't caring.
And look at this confirmation bias too. So if you know that your person that is missing has a relationship with a celebrity, pseudo celebrity, or something like that, what's our confirmation bias? Oh, they're just hanging out with them and they're being well taken care of. And so are they really missing? So I think that whole, attention aspect of it, and just think about, do our thought experiment. So say we know our next door neighbor's daughter happens to be friends with, we've heard rumor, not necessarily confirmed, but we heard rumor they're actually friends with some high, say there's friends with Taylor Swift. And all of a sudden they go missing, or you haven't seen them around for a couple weeks, but you heard, well, they're friends with Taylor Swift. Oh, they're probably with Taylor Swift then. And, she's so secretive. She doesn't really tell who her posse is at the time. So they're probably just, see how that rationalization goes?
Yeah.
Because as opposed to they're missing. We haven't seen them in 2 weeks. Holy F, we got to do something now.
True.
See how that kind of plays into who their associates are and who they aren't? It messes with you. It messes with law enforcement too, because then law enforcement will start rationalizing it away also. Yeah.
And when you do have a lot that do come back. And that's the other part of this, is when do you know what level of seriousness do you take it at in some cases. There's been some scuttlebutt, because I like to use terms of different eras, over the weekend about David and about him. As of right now, and I think this is important to state and contextually to state, not named as a murder suspect in Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. Now, not named as a suspect, that doesn't really mean much. As of right now, what there's a difference here. There's a big difference between being cleared and not being named as a suspect. No one has been cleared yet, and no one has been named a suspect. Obviously, there's got to be a suspect at some point in time, you would think. And, people do get cleared at some point, but he's neither been cleared, he's not been named a suspect, but neither has anyone else. Let's talk about that a little bit, and just the state as to where this is sitting as of this recording. No charges, no clearance, no nothing. The fact that he hasn't been cleared as of right now, but not named a suspect, doesn't mean anything now that we're however many weeks into this.
Maybe. Yeah. You want to. So my mind immediately goes to, all right, so I always start with the baseline of everyone's doing the job the way they should be doing the job. And if they haven't been naming him yet, it's because they don't have either a need to name him yet, or they're probably trying to run down all the associates and all the other people that are possibly connected to him, the event, and the things that have happened. And they don't want anyone to go silent, go dark, go missing as they're doing the investigation, because as soon as you name one person, then everyone else might flee, everyone else might run, they might go dark, or so you don't know what the effect has. And so I'm going to assume that the glass is half full, and it's a very strategic move and a very purposeful move as to why he hasn't been named yet, but definitely not written off. And the fact they haven't written anyone off says that they got a lot of data coming in. How could you not? She was in his car, and remember, I'm always looking at the age of people. First of all, we have never covered anyone who's smart, and I don't care how many people, and I know we get right. And we get dinged on this sometimes too, because people will keep referring to someone's degrees. They'll talk about their IQs, but I don't give a rat's ass about any of that, because all these people lack complete emotional intelligence, zero on the emotional intelligence side, which is the true measure of a human being and how we interact with society around us. You cascade low EQ, emotional intelligence, with the fact that you're 20 years old and younger. It says you're a complete moron when doing stupid things. And so putting those two things together, there's going to be a lot of leakage. I think there's a lot of data coming in and leads coming in from the surrounding posse of this individual that they're trying to run down. And they might just have limited bandwidth of the number of people that can do that. Because we know that they're conducting searches. There's no doubt that they're conducting searches. They're doing a lot of analysis of that. That might be another thing that might be waiting on too. DNA. You know, if you don't have, Cash Patel flying across the country to run your DNA for you, back in the FBI jet, it might take a bit of time. So
true. And he's got to get his boots on and everything too. He has to look
again,
super official.
just looking at the reality and logistics of the notoriety of a case. These poor guys, are doing the best they can. Cash Patel goes across country Bongino to get the assassin of Charlie Kirk's DNA, personalized back to the FBI lab. These guys might be waiting in the queue for another 3 months.
Isn't it great that they're personally doing it though? Doesn't it make you feel much more safe?
I feel
and
very
effective?
secure.
And,
yep.
yes.
It's literally, you, as I say, you just sit back and watch a show, man.
Let them.
There's not enough popcorn, honey.
Let them, and so I because I always have such a pragmatic view of having been in executive management of the FBI as well as a street agent for so long, I really know how these organizations work, for the good sometimes and for the not so good and slow sometimes. And so a very pragmatic Robin says the slowness of this could literally be they have DNA, they're waiting for a DNA positive hit, linking people together. They're doing the same thing. Cell phone data analysis also takes roughly around the same amount of time. And so if you don't have, the head of an organization running across country for you, getting the necessary things, or your queue's so backed up because the Cash Patel's dropped in everyone else's cases in front of you, it could back you up. I literally have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the reality of the amount of time it takes for these super investigative things that we're used to seeing on Criminal Minds happen like this. We have the capabilities to do the investigations, but the time lapse between getting it, analyzing it, and coming to conclusions can be decades apart sometimes, unfortunately. So that might be playing into here.
It's just like you look at this case and you go, come on. I mean, couldn't we have something by now? But so I know we're saying not smart human beings, but if these people manage to evade being caught on camera and nobody's arrested yet, I mean, I guess it's got to do, unless it's just pure dumb luck, or they're waiting and they got their eyes on them going, well, they're not going anywhere. Like, we know where they're at and they're waiting. If they were to flee, they're ready to, to stop them.
So let's, I'm so sorry, Tony. Let's look at this. You say dumb luck. When was the last time we've covered any single case and we said, oh, they were really smart?
No.
I don't think we've ever done that.
No. And that's the thing where I'm like, it's been this long. You got the most advanced vehicle in the world that has the body in it. You're in a very populated area. There's cameras everywhere. We're how many weeks in? How the hell do we not have the person arrested who was driving the car and parked it there?
Now we could actually have the case of, these people are stupid, the criminals and the murderers. At the same time, though, you don't know what you're dealing with on the law enforcement side. We've seen it all over the spectrum. We got guys that can catch people in 37 hours, and we got people that are going to take 37 years. I mean,
and I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Like, why? I mean, and there might be a good reason for it. At the very beginning of the Koberger investigation, too, we were very critical about it, and rightfully so in some ways. I think the PR management wasn't the wisest for that community in crisis at that moment in time.
But look at Gilligo too. I mean, why?
Well,
why
that's a whole other different level of corruption over there. Correct. That's like a different animal. That's like it's like a different zoo. It's not even the same remote thing. But this is something where maybe there is a reason. Maybe there is they really want to make sure they have the case as solid as they can before they go in and make some sort of
and also, we don't know the reps they have, the local law enforcement, because that comes into it too. We saw it in the Koberger case. If you have a smaller police department, that the last murder they did before Koberger, I think it was 14 years before that murder, that homicide, and they had a quadruple, and they'd only done a single. And so I don't know the resources of this department of investigation.
We're talking about, this is Beverly. I don't know. The house was in Beverly Hill. I don't know what it's LAPD that's on it. So
it's LAPD.
They got them. They got some reps here. They have resources that are beyond,
LAPD
reproach of most departments. So that's, again, I don't know.
All right. So LAPD's got, I know a few people like the top psychiatrist, the criminal psychologist in there, know him. He's a really good guy. So LAPD. So now, again, I'm sorry that my brain was fogging on who was actually doing it. So now that you weigh that data point in there. I'm thinking it's now. Granted, I'm still going to go on the time to get these returns on all the investigative stuff because of not having people flying across the country for you.
Yeah.
But that being said, that they do have their own crime lab, they do have their own resources. I mean, LAPD is like NYPD; they got a lot of resources. So, silent to this point, I think it's calculated.
Yeah. And people I think are chomping at the bit because everybody likes to bring up people and then tear them down. And I think there's a lot that people are, for whatever reason, they're going, well, it must be David. I don't know about that. I have serious reservations thinking that this guy killed this person. Well, I have serious reservations about a lot of the accusations that are flying around online too about the relationship there. I don't know that it was a romantic relationship. I'd love to see some actual evidence that shows that it was. I don't think we've seen it. We've seen what to me looks like a male friend with a female friend. One is certainly younger, but if there is nothing sexual going on there, 15 and 20 is not that huge of a difference. You can be friends. You don't,
Tony,
yeah.
That is so perfect. I mean, you are saying everything exactly right. Let's go where the evidence brings us. Right now, we don't have data that supports one thing or the other. And as dumb as we say the people are, it would be super dumb to dump a body in the trunk of your own car and abandon it. I mean, but again, dumb things happen. But
dumb things happen.
But that's what you do. I mean, really good job. Hey, here's what we know.
He was on tour though too, so I mean, like physically, he couldn't have even really done it from But it's not to say he couldn't have a hand in it. I don't know, but that's what we don't know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Also why, but hey, so now we can do our little thought experiment here too. Yeah. So since we don't have data that supports that, it seems just to make sense it would. And it's LAPD handling it, and they got a lot of reps in doing this. Granted, they don't have the analysis back necessarily yet of doing the DNA tests and doing cell phone triangulation, especially in Beverly Hills when you got a lot of cell phones all over the place and potentially a lot of DNA, especially if this is a social guy. There's going to be a lot of DNA in that car to analyze possibly. And so putting all those things together and a lack of data, there just might not be charges coming because nothing supports it yet. And then maybe there's no charges against David yet because they're trying to figure out who that DNA does tie to, because maybe it doesn't tie to him. Yeah.
Who has access? I mean, if he's cooperating with police, and we have no reason to believe that he's not as of right now, from what we've understood he is, who has access to your car?
100%.
Right.
And I think that's going to give you a lot of answers right there. And I'm guessing they're trying to go down those roads. I mean, and could it, again, we're just kind of in speculation land here too. Could it be that maybe somebody who had access to his car is not exactly findable at this moment in time and nobody knows where that person is? And that's why they're not really going, full throttle here, saying, here's who we're going after to further prevent them from going deeper into wherever they're at if they're already not in the unknown.
Yeah, and so especially with no charges coming against David yet, the probability of, again, they haven't written him off yet, but the probability that they're running everything down is really, really high. And especially if you're dealing with a couple of individuals that have a very big social networking footprint, there's a lot of people to run down. There's a lot of leads to run down. In other words, there's a lot of people, because the first thing you're doing when you're investigating a homicide is who's connected to the individual. Because 95% of the people that are murdered, there's some sort of connection between the murderer and the victim. And so if you have, the victim, the girl who's got so many of these social media connections, you're going to have to run them all down. And especially if you can't link it solidly to one individual yet, you got to run all those down. And even if you can, so think about this, even if you can link it to a certain degree with one individual, when it goes to court, you have to be able to say how you outruled everyone else. So it's a lot.
It is a lot when you're trying to figure out who all this is. I mean, the fact that these people are so, David has said, like his world, his people, I believe is the way that he phrased it, are online. He's of the online world. That he was a gamer, he was a this, he was a that, and that's the ecosystem to which he operates and lives. That would tell me if there is anything If he has anything to do with her disappearance, or her murder, or death, or act, whatever the hell it was, we don't even know if it was technically a homicide yet. I would imagine that it'd be very hard. It'd be very. Would you be surprised if there's not anything in the digital sphere of a footprint on this guy if he has anything to do with it?
Nothing surprises me anymore. I think the thing that's really, thank God that the only thing we have is the vehicle, because I mean, think about this: if she had been found by a tree in the woods, or even on a street corner in a neighborhood, that'd be much harder, because now at least we can rule it into someone had to have access to that vehicle. And so, but yeah, the volume of people and connections that they're running down at this point, even if you can, as I was just thinking, as you were speaking, I was even thinking about this, I'm on Discord, for a couple of the online gaming things that I do in the VR world. I play this stupid VR game with people all over, and no one has any idea who anyone is. Yet I have very close relationships, with people online, where you can have great conversation with people. And as I was just thinking about this in this context of, there's a lot of people that are going to have close relationships that cops are trying to run down. Who is this? All they got is an anonymous name through some Meta account, and they're trying to figure out who the hell that is, because there's a close relationship here, and they don't know who it is. Is it this person, this person? So it's a world of challenges. There is no doubt.
Robin, do people know who you are in these chats? Do they know?
No.
I mean, so I'm assuming you're just like some player in there.
Yep. They have no clue. And they listen to my voice and they have no idea I'm 57 years old.
I don't want to add, I was going to say, we should do a game. Let's guess Robin's username. No.
No.
You come up with some very, very creative ideas onto what that could be.
I've given hints a few times, but no one's ever guessed what I do.
Let's give us some insight, though, into that world, into that community, because we've obviously seen, he's very much into this world that David is. We've of course the Charlie Kirk shooter. We've seen there's another case I'm beginning to follow here of the teenager that ran over the two girls over the last week, that he was stalking online, and he didn't like them because they were saying negative things about Charlie Kirk. So he thought, well, let's go run them over, which he did. But again, then bragged about it on an online forum of some sort for a video game he's playing.
Yeah.
Give us some insight for those of us who are not in that world as to what that world is like. Are these extreme outliers when you have people like that are doing things like that? Or is there just like questionable shit everywhere and you just don't know who's being serious or not?
I can only give my optic.
Yeah. Give me your, yeah.
And my son's on them all the time too. I have two adult kids in that age group. They're in their late 20s. I don't see anything toxic in the stuff I do. I mean, you hear toxic kids saying toxic things from time, but never violent things. They'll just say inappropriate things is a better way to put it. And then, and to the credit towards the companies that the games that I play, they get voice banned. They'll be like, as I logged on last night, and there's this guy I play this one game with. He's actually he's in his 30s. He's a roofer in Kentucky. I have no idea who he is. I know that much about him because that's much he's shared. And he came on last night, and he's already voice banned because he says this one thing online. It's not even a bad word or anything, but the algorithm thinks he's saying something else, and they voice ban him for like 30 minutes. And it's hilarious. He's doing these hand signals in the game, trying to articulate. But no, and my son was telling me this because we talked about this a lot after the Charlie Kirk shooting, and this online culture that they have. You can find toxicity anywhere you look for it. But by and large, a lot of these companies I'll give the glass half full. A lot of these companies and gaming companies are doing a very good job of creating these filters and algorithms to keep that toxicity out, because they don't want to have their company go out of business. They make money by selling things that are positive, that parents will allow their kids to buy, that the government's not going to shut down or ban. And so by and large, they do a good job. But what happens is you have the gaming world, and then you have the communication world that goes around the gaming world. And so I play both my computer game, my Xbox downstairs S, and I also play on my VR headset. I got an Oculus. And then with all those games, you have a Discord channel that will go along with that game. And so it's not the gaming systems themselves that are necessarily the ones that are bad. It's the chat world that'll go around, that'll start surrounding. So you'll have a group of people that can be completely anonymous that decide in the game, hey, here's an invite to my Discord channel. And so they give an invite to the person online, and then they go to that little cult of people. And I'll say a cult just as a collective, not as a bad thing, just a cult of people, completely anonymous, that starts out talking about this game. Now, if you have one individual or a couple individuals in there that start spreading some toxicity about other things going on in society or anything else, well, then that can start festering. And that's where that starts. So it can start here, it can start there, and that's why it's so hard to track. And all of it completely anonymous unless you decide to disclose who you are.
Is this stuff like kind of coming off of the dark web now and getting into more mainstream platforms like Discord, like Reddits and things of that nature, where it used to be you had to dig a little bit deeper to find a community where it gets pretty dark? You'd have other, is it being harbored out in shallower waters than it used to be, and people are getting access to it in ways that and falling into these, especially young men, being able to find and fall into these things in a much easier way than they would have in the past, where in the past you would have had to been kind of like in a hackerish community or really know what the hell you were doing to go that deep on the web. Now, you're on a Discord from a game you were playing, and things can get pretty dark. Is it getting the shallow getting too close to home, and do these companies like Discord and such that provide the platforms, do they need to be more responsible with what they're allowing to have conversation of on their platforms?
Well, the language you use there is really good and accurate. Shallower waters, I think, is a very accurate way to put it. I haven't heard anyone, because I used to be a board member on a group called Innocent Lives Foundation, which we tracked and identified online predators and handed it over to law enforcement for investigation. And that took a lot of dark web work. And if you're going to traffic in horrendous things that are already, like Steven Stearns and the Matty Soto case, that is dark web kind of stuff when you're dealing with that. But when you're talking about just dialogue,
ideology doesn't have to be
it
that.
doesn't. It gets very shallow. And the challenge with it, it's not even just a challenge of the companies and tracking it, because the three of us and four, with Todd, the way we communicate as a generation it's much more transparent. But what happens is that these people will start talking in code. The code becomes jargon and lingo that an algorithm's not going to pick up on until it picks up on. Then they already moved on from it. Mm-hmm. And so, boy, it's a challenge. And so this kind of goes back to some of the things we were talking about because of the Charlie Kirk assassination. Was I don't think you're going to be able to keep chasing people around social networking sites and find the bad actors. I'm not saying you're not going to. You'll be able to identify some that way, but you're in chasing mode. You'll never catch up to sprinters if you're in chasing mode. Mm-hmm. The way to do it is really start looking earlier than that at the behaviors outside this world, because if they're doing it inside the virtual world, there's tons of leakage on the outside. It's a self-isolation. It's the dark thoughts. It's the vernacular they start using. So I constantly encourage parents to do this all the time. Keep a journal, keep a log, and date it. So when you make observations, just journaling about what you, your family, and your kids are doing on a daily basis, or even just make a weekly basis. Just make notes on what, let's get a couple of more fun names, but what your kids, Jane and Bob are doing on a weekly basis. And when you start tracking that over time, then you'll start seeing a pattern. Is the pattern staying healthy and normal, or we start going down into self-isolation? Because if we start seeing a fall off, here's an easy thing to do. Name your kids' friends. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the ability to name who your kids' friends are, these are conversations to have. And then as you just do a weekly check-in with your kids, like my kids and our family does this, we do a weekly FaceTime call, all four of us. My kids are grown. We're just checking in. Here's what's going on. Here's what's going on in each other's lives. We talk about people in people's lives. Now we have a baseline. And so if we baseline what our kids and our interactions are going and the socializing they're doing, if we start seeing deviations because we're taking note of it, that's the change.
Yeah.
And you don't have to start chasing it down online because you're never going to catch them.
Well, and think about how isolated we are now. I'll hold up my phone here. There are people in my phone that other people don't know about. Mm-hmm. Because they don't see them in real life. This is how we communicate. They're in other states. So the people who are in my actual real world don't know that these other people exist. My phone is locked. People don't have access to it. So there is this entire web that if those people are toxic, the people in my real life have no idea that they exist.
But we're going to know from your behavior.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And so when I start seeing a change in Stacy, I'm going to say, Stacy, this is what I say to myself, I said, what's going on? What great challenge are you facing this week? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have that check-in with people like what you do with your family, we are absolutely lost in this world. So we've really stopped that communication with people around us. We don't do those check-ins.
Yeah.
And what you just shared is so valuable
and
to everybody.
Curiosity, I know everyone's probably laughing that Robin does these gaming things. You know why I do gaming? Well, you know why? My kids do. And in order for me to, and we talk about anything that I face as a behavior guy in the real world when we do these shows, I dive in. Mm-hmm. Just so I can understand that world a bit better. So I have that, like we were talking about Brian Enton, he goes on scene. Well, if we're going to talk about the virtual world and gaming and Discord and everything, I have an account. I do these things. Yeah. If I could get at least a bit of a taste and a flavor. I ask my kids about it because they're the source material for me about, hey, you're doing this every day. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What's the reality from what we're seeing being propagated on the news cycles that are selling ad space compared to reality of just, what is really going on?
Well, it's curiosity.
It is just deep, active curiosity. And then, I've actually enjoyed these games. It gets really annoying though. These kids get really good at these games and really piss me off. My favorite line ever that I use when I get angry, and I don't get angry because I say, let them, is, would you go out and smell some grass?
Smell that. Wait, what kind of grass are we talking about here?
Dad just installed AstroTurf in the front yard.
Cut some green grass, man. And the other thing I'll do with some kids is take a breath because some of these kids just will not shut up.
Sure. Yeah,
It's good. I'm sorry. I'm digressing.
No.
Our chat section here on YouTube, they freaking love you, Robin. So stop apologizing for going off because everybody here just loves your commentary. So please don't ever apologize.
I'm just a real guy, man, doing real things.
Exactly, and they love it.
And you can get his book right now, Unbreakable Alliances. It's his latest, wherever books are sold. So there you go.
Yes.
and audiobook, wherever. So if you want to go get more Robin after the show, you can go get. And there's other books too. I do highly recommend all of them.
Yeah, me too.
Robin Dreeke, retired FBI Special Agent Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. As always, thank you for coming on and giving us your insight into the lovely world that we currently have.
Everything. You'll never know where it goes. Thanks, guys.
We love that.
And let us know your thoughts in the comments section as well. Let's move on. Going over to Shawn Diddy Combs. Now he walked into that Manhattan courtroom wrapped in everything he's ever used to define himself. God. Power, fame, family, philanthropy, trauma. And by the time he walked out, that armor had cracked because for the first time, a federal judge didn't just listen to Diddy's narrative. He listened to the women. He handed down 4 years and 2 months in federal prison. Not a slap on the wrist, not time served in a tour of middle schools, not a redemption arc wrapped in designer fabric, just a sentence for violence, for coercion, for decades of unchecked entitlement disguised as influence. We're going to walk through what actually happened in the courtroom on Friday, because if you only heard the sound bites, you missed the truth. And we got a lot to go through. We're going to go through Cassie's letter that was submitted to the judge. We're also going to take a look at the very overly produced Shawn Combs video. That's right. He came with a pre-produced Shawn Combs promo.
Of course
for
he
himself.
Did.
Yes.
Of course he did. My God, I would have been so let down if he hadn't.
Why wouldn't you? When you're trying to sell that you're just a regular man of the people, why would you not come in with an 11-minute promo video for your greatness? after you've been accused of doing some of the most horrific things imaginable, including on camera. Yeah.
It was so Diddy of him, wasn't it?
That's so Diddy.
That's what I said over the weekend. Like, everything that we saw was
Yeah.
just so Diddy. And I'm using that in my real life.
I
Like,
think
if somebody
we'll-
does
yeah.
something absurd, that is so Diddy of you.
Are you retiring That's So Raven?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, Diddy did not have a great day in
No.
court on Friday. The first thing out of Judge Aaron Semeranian's mouth wasn't about Diddy's success. It was about the survivors. He called their stories horrific, but stories of courage. He looked directly at the record, the women who testified, the trauma they endured, and said, "We heard you. I'm proud of you for coming to the court to tell the world what really happened." That moment cut through everything. No branding, no bodyguards, no billion-dollar portfolio could shift the focus quite back onto Diddy. But for the first time in that room, that mattered. Someone chose to believe the women before the myth. And one of those things that was believed was the words of Cassie Ventura. And I got her letter right here, and I'm going to read it. I didn't do an AI version of this. I'm just going to read it aloud. So this is Cassie's letter to the judge in its entirety. Dear Judge Semeranian, I have been in a cycle of thought and then overthought writing this letter to you. If there is one thing I've learned from this experience is that the victims and survivors will never be safe. Although I can hope for justice and accountability, I have come to not trust anything. I hope that your decision considers the truths at hand that the jury failed to see. For 4 days in May, while 9 months pregnant with my son, I testified in front of a packed courtroom about the most traumatic and horrifying chapter in my life. I testified that from age 19, Shawn Combs used violence, threats, substances, and control over my career to trap me in over a decade of abuse. He groomed me into performing repeated S-acts and hired male S-workers during multi-day freak-offs, which occurred nearly weekly. I was forced into lingerie and heels, told exactly how to look, and piled with drugs and alcohol so he could control me like a puppet. These events were degrading and disgusting, leaving me with infections, illnesses, and days of physical and emotional exhaustion before he demanded it all again. S-acts became my full-time job, used as the only way to stay in his good graces. I testified that I learned to read Shawn Combs' signals, knowing that when he spoke of freak-offs, he was demanding them, and that refusing meant punishment, losing my car, my phone, or worse. He controlled every part of my livelihood and threatened to destroy my reputation by leaking the tapes, a threat he repeated often. His power over me eroded my independence and sense of self until I felt I had no choice but to submit. When he believed I had wronged him or was not sufficiently responsive, he also threatened people around me and those close to me, including my family. I regularly worried that displeasing him meant putting my family and friends' safety at risk. I testified how beyond these threats, Shawn Combs frequently used violence to get his way. Over the nearly 11 years we were together, Shawn Combs would hit me, punch me, stomp on my face, pull my hair, and throw my body to the ground and against the wall. The jury saw pictures of bruises on my back from Combs kicking me and saw the deep gash over my eye he caused when he slammed me into the bed frame. The entire courtroom watched actual footage of Combs kicking me and beating me as I tried to run away from a freak-off in 2016. People watched this footage dozens of times, seeing my body thrown to the ground, my hands over my face, curled into a fetal position to shield me from the worst blows. This physical violence caused bruises that makeup artists, paid for by Shawn Combs, would cover up, as well as permanent scars all over my body. During my time with Combs, I was in a constant state of hypervigilance, as I was always anticipating demands for S-acts or otherwise fearing retribution for any perceived slight. My descent into substance abuse was directly correlated with his increased control over my body, my money, my freedom, and my free will. I used those drugs to push through the horrifying S-acts he demanded and to numb myself to the physical pain and emotional turmoil I was constantly in. While the defense attorneys at trial suggested that my time with Combs was akin to a great modern love story, nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing about this story is great, modern, or loving. This was a horrific decade of my life, stained by abuse, violence, forced S, and denigration. I spent the last 7 years of my life slowly rebuilding myself, physically getting clean from the drug abuse Shawn Combs forced and encouraged, and mentally understanding how to live with a seemingly insurmountable level of trauma. The horrors I endured drove me to have thoughts of suicide, once I almost followed through on, if not for my family's intervention and urging that I seek professional care. I've been to rehab and have taken part in dozens of types of therapy modalities to comfort, compartmentalize, and cope with the horrific memories of the abuse I endured nearly 10 years of. While what he did to me is always present, I am slowly learning how to live my life free of fear and horrors I endured. And in doing so, I'm fully devoted to my husband and my children. I still have nightmares and flashbacks on a regular, everyday basis and continue to require psychological care to cope with my past. My worries that Shawn Combs or his associates will come after me and my family is my reality. I have, in fact, moved my family out of the New York area and am keeping as private and quiet as I possibly can because I am so scared that if he walks free, his first actions will be swift retribution towards me and others who spoke up about his abuse at trial. As much progress as I have made in recovering from his abuse, I remain very much afraid of what he's capable of and the malice he undoubtedly harbors towards me for having the bravery to tell the truth. His defense attorneys claim he is a changed man and he wants to mentor abusers. I know firsthand what real mentorship means, and this disgusts me. He's not being truthful. I know that who he was to me, the manipulator, the aggressor, the abuser, the trafficker, is who he is as a human. He has no interest in changing or becoming better. He'll always be the same cruel, power-hungry, manipulative man that he is. When I came out with my allegations in my civil case, he flatly denied them again and again. It was only after actual footage corroborated the exact words in my civil complaint that he issued an insincere apology on the internet. Thanks to the footage and my testimony, this is also something he will forever be associated with. For over a decade, Shawn Combs made me feel powerless and unimportant. But my experience was real, horrific, and deserves to be considered. While the jury did not seem to understand or believe that I engaged in freak-offs because of the force and coercion the defendant used against me, I know that is the truth, and his sentence should reflect the reality of the evidence and my lived experience as a victim. Reliving in detail the events and truths described through the trial and this letter causes me tremendous emotional pain. I am trying with all that I am to move on. I hope that your sentencing decision reflects the strength it took for victims of Shawn Combs to come forward. I hope that your decision considers the many lives that Shawn Combs has upended with his abuse and control. I thank you for your time and attention. Cassandra Ventura Fine. So she laid it out pretty good. I think anybody, I want to say this because I was thinking this as I was reading it. When he does get out, if he gets out, I know it's going to be like 3 years, but I think there's an if, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If he does any events, if he goes back and has another tour, if he goes, that should be required reading as you buy the ticket. You know, it's like, okay, here's the agreement, and this is who you're buying the ticket for, by the way. Just so you're all aware. Anybody who wants to go see this guy or be inspired by this guy, come on. He's a monster. And I hope a broomstick finds him in prison and ends it. But, that's wishful thinking. What are your thoughts?
Well, I noticed Stacy was very touched by that letter, so I'm going to let her go first.
Okay.
Maybe you should go. I don't think I can right now.
Well, I will just say that, and I agree with you, Tony. If this guy gets out in 2-3 years, whatever it is, 4 years, and thinks that he's going to have a career after this. Shame on anybody who supports it.
He had bookings. That's
know.
the other. He was booked for this week because he thought he was going to get out.
Exactly. This guy really felt like, hey, I did this stuff. It was horrible, but look at me now. I'm all better. And it's like, nah, you're not. It doesn't change like that. I'm not saying that you can't make your life better. You can't become a better person. But in this case, what you've done is so horrific that be a good person if you want. It just doesn't change what you did. And I'm sorry, nobody should ever trust you again. Ever.
No.
Ever. And after he said, hey, these are things I didn't do, and then the video comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, right? Come on.
I feel like, and I know this would be extreme and we can't do this in this country, but, just like how like predators, child predators and such, if they committed their crimes on the internet, they're not allowed then to like use the internet or have access to it anymore.
Right.
I feel like somebody like him shouldn't have access to cameras. like after you've had, and that means you can't be on camera, you can't own cameras, you can't make appearances on cameras.
Unless it's a 24-hour-a-day body cam that records everything you freaking do.
Yeah.
Then, they'd find a loop. But something like that, where it's like, so he can't go get in the spotlight and bamboozle more people into his bullshit. Because that's what's going to happen. There's going to be people, if he gets out, oh, look, he's a changed man. It's Diddy. Because people want to remember the Diddy of the 90s, where it's more money, more problems, and it's a big shiny music video with lights sparkling everywhere, and it's a big old fun time. Because we don't want to look at things of our past and go, oh, that really wasn't as I guess, poppy and fun as it was made out to be. Hell, look at the Cosby Show. Not exactly the family atmosphere we all thought it was. Now, was it? But the same sort of thing is here. But you still have people that will still buy the bullshit. Cosby still, if he goes out, he still can sell out places. It's insane.
Do you believe, either one of you, that his kids who spoke at his sentencing actually believe that he's a changed man?
Yes, I think they all do.
Do they
think-
really?
Yeah.
I think they are so steeped in all that is Diddy
Yeah.
that they don't understand what reality should be.
Yes. And that's why.
Exactly. If they were to step out of this bubble and really take a good look at it, they would see something that does not agree with them, that would not allow them to sleep at night. But they're so into this lifestyle. And I think that's why this letter hit me personally so hard. I'm going to open up a little bit here. Financial manipulation is something that I'm starting to question about my own life. I'm not going to go into great detail, but nothing like this has happened to me. But as I'm hearing this letter, I kind of sat back and went, how many women have dealt with something with just even a shade, a sliver of this in their lives? They've been with an abusive boyfriend or husband. They've been with somebody who is controlling them. They don't know how to get out. They're afraid of what they're going to lose if they do get out. There's just this overwhelming fear. And how many women are living in this fear? Not to this extreme, but to hear a letter like this and see some of yourself checking boxes a little bit, absolutely fucking triggered me. And if you want to rewind and go back to a few minutes ago, I lost my shit and had to go off camera for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's so raw. This is the first time I actually read the letter all the way through. Was right there, and I mean, it very much spells out what a monster he is, and it further exemplifies just how crazy what we're going to show you in just a moment is, because what he brought to court after victim impact statements and then tried to sell to the judge, because the jury's no longer part of this anymore. The jury has nothing to do with sentencing. It's up to the judge. Sean Combs thought that, okay, even though all of these pieces are here, these statements, these letters, it doesn't even register in his mind that maybe it's not time for a promo video about my greatness. In his mind, this is the way. And apparently in his attorneys as well, unless Sean's just calling all the shots. And the attorneys are like, well, whatever.
He's paying me. He's paying me by the hour. I'm getting, $800 an hour to represent this guy. So, I need a new Ferrari.
Which could very well be the case. But the damage that he did it's insane. And it's insane he didn't get more. What I was saying earlier, I said, 3 years, because he's got time served for 1 year, basically. And then you look at the math of how it will play out. If it's good behavior and all that, you're probably looking at about 2-ish years that he'll realistically serve. And then he's out. But that's 2 years. It took less than a year to bring the charges on him and then actually end up at trial. Remember, this trial happened far sooner than anybody thought it would.
Yeah.
We all thought this thing was going to be like playing out years down the road, but it came. And now I don't know that there's more. I would suspect the fact that you have hundreds of other people making allegations, you might have enough material for another federal case. Just saying. Maybe you do. Or some other case. It doesn't have to be federal. Just some other criminal case. I would think there might be enough data out there for that. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, they have all of the freak-off videos. The government does. And apparently that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough to get this further down the road. And you can't go reuse all that again. I do have some suspicions as to maybe why they didn't have enough, because I'm going to guess there might have been more than enough other folks in some of those videos that names didn't want to get out. And maybe there was a reason that the charges didn't go further on Diddy. That's my own personal opinion. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but, we know how Jeffrey Epstein worked. I don't think this is a far cry in a lot of ways of people that may have been involved in his circle that had a vested interest and have the power to make sure that, that doesn't get out.
Yeah.
So would not be shocked there. But it's beyond smoke. I mean, this is a fireworks stand ablaze right now. And and shit's flying everywhere. And it's going to continue to. Every single week, there are still new civil cases coming in. And again, he is, on any of those charges, he deserves his day in court. He deserves to be able to argue them and fight them. But just as those people do deserve the right to tell their story. And will you have some BS in there? Sure. But to this level, this many people accusing you of stuff, I mean, come on. There's, I would not be surprised if there is another criminal trial within the course of the next 2 to 3 years that keeps him in longer. It's my hoping, knock on wood or fake wood or whatever prediction.
Interesting.
If he's in prison, can they actually pull more charges against him, or do they have to wait? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If they, statute of limitations is your biggest thing with a lot of his stuff, but
Yep.
I don't know. Stuff keeps coming up. I would not imagine the amount of shit. I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how he got away with it to this level. To only get 2 years for all of the crap that he has been accused of doing or has been proven to have done.
I'm hoping that Cassie's letter gives some strength to anybody else who has a story that isn't told yet, that needs to be told.
Yeah.
It was very well written. Unlike, I didn't think his letter was well written to the judge. I thought that was, and I know it was
repetitive too.
It was the same thing over and over and over about how he changed. But I hope that letter gives some strength and solace to those who have gone through some stuff with Diddy themselves.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Somebody in our chat, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is it Jeannie or Jean? Says, well, maybe he'll have the same thing happen to him in prison. Funny, he's so afraid of SA in prison. What does he think he was doing all those years?
Well, exactly.
You nailed it. Yep. Yeah. Poetic justice, maybe?
Or is he going to arrange this into something where it's like, I don't know.
Careful.
where it's not, I don't know. He's such a manipulator. I wouldn't put anything past anything of the way he's going to frame it, or how he could frame something. Just is about what we're going to take a look at here in this next segment. Shawn Diddy Combs, of course, found guilty of two of those charges, and he is now going to be spending, well, the sentence is 4 years, but likely he'll be spending about 2 more years in prison with time served. The Spin Machine certainly came to court on Friday, and make no mistake, this wasn't a legal strategy. It was a stage production where, despite the shocking nature of his crimes, the letter that Cassie wrote in great detail saying exactly what happened and the hell and the torture that she went through being with Diddy. Diddy's team, Diddy himself, had the nerve, the gall, I don't know what word I'm even looking for on this one, to show an 11-minute video. And let's call it what it was. A campaign ad. Mm-hmm. Footage of him with kids, him running a race, him handing out opportunities. At one point, he wears a shirt that says, "I am the American dream," with clips of him mentoring inmates in prison. This is what they played in court. Take a moment to digest it, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
What you've given to the world, I don't think you know, man.
When my baby cries.
You gotta give her a bottle then.
Know that you mean something to people. Know that you mean something to people. Like you live somewhere in people's heart.
My nose fell off. Ah!
No, it's here.
No, then my lip fell off. Thank you. You wear it?
You inspire, you energize, and you've left that for the rest of the existence of this planet, man.
One thing about great producers is they make you want to do better and be better about what you do. And he made me feel like I could do anything and go anywhere.
I'm from New York. I love New York. I love the city of New York. I love the children of New York. I wanted to do something good. I wanted to get my generation in the hip-hop community behind us. They come through in a big way. And we wanted to raise some money for the children of New York City for health and education. We have a huge education crisis. And, you know, this is just a start. It's something we're going to be committed to. I'm going to be committed to for a lifetime. And it's no better way than taking it to the streets. It's a beautiful city, running all around. The city's going to be painful. It's going to be rough. But, you know, if we get through it, then it'll show kids and everybody else that, you know, finish what you started and you can do anything you put your mind to. Any of y'all go to public school?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all running to raise money for your schools. So y'all get more books and computers and stuff like that. I just feel like it's important that us, you know, young adults of power, that we look out for y'all. And we utilize our power to make sure y'all all right in the future. Put everything you can into your work, you know. Don't think the cool thing is not to do your work. Don't think the cool thing is to hang on the corner with your friends and to talk about stuff that ain't gonna protect your future.
What did you learn about him as a man who was taking up a new sport?
Well, you know, I was actually very impressed. You know, a lot of people think it's just a celebrity stunt, that he isn't serious about his running. He is as serious about his running, has been the last 9 weeks, as a lot of these guys in the lead pack. I mean, he's really devoted and dedicated himself to running. You know, he's had some knee problems, and a lot of people don't think he's going to finish. He is going to finish, even if he has to do it on one leg, because he's raised a lot of money for kids' charities, and he's not going to let all those people down.
Let's go. Where we going? We're going straight to the top, baby. Let's go is a constant reminder. Let's go. Boom. Live in the present. Sometimes, you know, you daydreaming. Sometimes, you know, Uncle Diddy got to hit you with let's go. Clap it up on the sideline. Let's get our energy right. Come on. To make sure that you pursuing your dream, that you staying focused. Let's go. Let's keep going forward. Let's go means let's be positive. Let's take it up another notch. Let's go spend time with our kids. Let's go. Let's give thanks to God. Let's go. You know, let's turn it up. Let's get in the vocal booth. Let's stop procrastinating. Let's go. You know, let's understand what it's going to take to achieve that dream. So instead of talking about the guns and the violence, I was always talking about a better life, places we didn't go before, things we never wore, cars we never drove, houses we never lived in. I think I brought an aspiration to hip-hop. Tried to take it out of just being street. My whole stuff was a fantasy and a dream that I always felt would come true.
I started out just like you guys. I come from New York. I grew up in Harlem. I used to have to wear a uniform every day. Had to get up early in the morning, had to travel to go to school. I worked hard, just like you guys are working. This country and this world we live in may have planned for y'all. I didn't listen to that, and I don't want y'all to listen to it either. Y'all are great. Y'all are kings. Y'all are queens. Y'all are leaders. I just got so excited because this is truly a dream come true for me. And I'm happy to say this is our third school we have opened. It's official. When we come together as a people, nothing can stop us. What I want to do with my freedom is, make sure that I can make change.
And I found out that Mr. Shawn Diddy Combs posted me on Instagram.
We met Shawn Diddy Combs for the first time, and Shawn gave Trey a $25,000 grant, which allowed us to open a physical store.
Revolt, as one of the only Black-owned networks, we have to own something. We have to have something that's ours. We have to have something that we can control our narrative, and we could speak about things that are important to us, and we could have a platform and a foundation to be free.
But I want to get advice from y'all. I want to not just have a one-way conversation.
We need a platform where they can put artists that are different, really different, that we can get a shot on other stations.
Working for Revolt TV and working for Diddy was absolutely life-changing. It was the best job I've ever had. I learned excellence through him.
I don't see enough things truly changing. And I don't understand how we are the richest, most powerful country in the world, and it seems like we can't solve the problems within our own communities. African American communities are last. And the only people that are going to change that is us. We have to stand strong together, and we have to get to that change.
You will change the world.
I've been to hell,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna make it.
you're going to make it. That's right. And I got something for you. Remember I told you I had a present for you?
Yeah. Ooh, ain't that pretty?
This is a heart, because you're my heart.
Oh.
All right?
Okay.
You my heart.
Okay.
May God bless you and keep you happy and keep you thinking positive. Everything's not going to be perfect at this time in life. And you're a good person that understands reality. So we're gonna accentuate the positives in life. Cause you're doing great, girl. You're doing great.
God knows.
You know what I'm saying? You're doing great. I want you to be happy about your life. You're doing great. We got a lot of living to do now. We got a lot of living to do. Don't have me come behind me. I'll be taking you everywhere. You be going everywhere.
You hang out together.
Okay, what's your name?
When you were a little boy,
Hi.
Jeannie Ned.
Okay, Jeannie.
Yeah, you just keep hanging in there.
Thank you very much. And I'm telling you right now, you did a great job.
Thank you.
I'm wrapping my head around and meeting you and also telling you you did a great job at the same time.
That means
so
a lot.
pleasure to meet
That
you.
means a lot.
I'd rather at the end of the day be the one standing there with you was the best person. You made us feel the best as a person. How old are you?
2.
How old are you? 2. You got a 2. That's 2.
My name is Pookie the Bird. Pookie.
Happy birthday. Wash your hands, because we're going to be shuffling it up.
Jesus Christ.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Thank you, God.
Today, God is the greatest. He blessed me and my girlfriend Kim and the world with 2 beautiful baby girls. She's sleeping.
We have breaking news to tell you about now. Model and actress Kim Porter, who shares 3 children with Shawn Diddy Combs, has been found dead.
She just loved me unconditionally, you know. She just loved me.
She only knew all your secrets, and if she exposed that shit, it might not have worked out well.
Yep.
You could be like with a person.
Those tears.
I get to thinking about her, and I go to crying about her.
Today, now I'm a full-time dad, and I'm gonna be there for you through everything, all of y'all.
Every Sunday, I gotta slow everything down and do the family ritual, get the family together, make sure the girls watching church.
There is a definition of grace that is more.
Pops, I love you. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for inspiring. I've looked up to you and admired you outside of you just being my father, just you being just a great human being, a kind
Let's talk about those
being.
charges against you guys.
I love how you inspire me to keep going, to never stop following my dreams, to always believe in myself.
See your foot, put in that middle part.
I did it. I wanted to tell you how much I love you, how much I care for you. Thank you for being so supportive of me and my siblings' dreams, for always encouraging us to go for whatever we want.
We love you. We can't wait to make more memories with you. Just want to thank you for everything you do for us. Yes, and we want you to know that you're loved more than you think.
Pick which trophy I want. I want the best person trophy. Because I know in order for me to get into heaven, I'm not going to get in there, well, come on in heaven, you had 20 hit records. That don't mean nothing. And that's what this world is for. They're going to say, oh, come on in heaven, you was a nice person.
I love you.
I love you so much.
I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hi, Daddy.
I feel gaslit.
There's nobody in that video saying he loves him other than the people he brainwashed directly as his next of kin. Nobody else in that video in any sort of timeline is praising him. You saw a lot of clips in there of other people praising him at various points from the 90s to today. There was at the very beginning, I felt bad for Babyface because he was on there at some award show saying something, but I'm going to take a wild guess and go that wasn't a sanctioned move by Babyface saying, yeah, go ahead, put me in that video. I think we have to remember the quote, over the nearly 11 years we were together, Sean Combs would hit me, punch me, stomp on my face, pull my hair, throw my body to the ground and against the wall. Anybody who's doing that shit, that is all for show. That is 1000% being gaslit.
100%. This is the, I don't even know what to say. This is so appropriate for an abuser.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is exactly what an abuser does. No, this is the life we've been living, not what you experienced, what I'm telling you experienced. And this was to the public, so good Lord, what was he doing behind the scenes? And we saw a glimpse of it, but just a glimpse. He did not acknowledge his victims in any way, shape, or form. He can get fucked.
Yeah.
I wrote something down only because I'm not good with words. And it's something we've always heard about people. But if you really want to know the inner realness of someone, see them in situations when no one is looking, or in this case, when cameras aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing here from the heart. This was all stuff that was put together for promotional material over the years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so he ran. Great. I'm proud of you. You know,
so did all those other people.
Right. I have a busted knee. I walked for the Humane Society this year. Nobody was following me around for a promotional video. It's really it's frustrating to see that, and even more frustrating to think that he or his family or his lawyers thought somehow that was going to sway this decision from the judge or the public's thought process on who this guy is. It did nothing, except as we always say on the show, just show what a narcissist this guy is.
Oh my God. All roads lead there. What I found interesting about some of the notes I took, being a parent and having a kid, I'll tell you what, when I have like videos of my kid and stuff, it's of my kid.
Right.
It's not of me. It's not of me necessarily with my kid. I mean, I also don't have photographers following me around either. But at the same point, I wouldn't want to share that with a photographer. Those are moments, and it's of them doing. It's about their accomplishments. It's about their stuff. It's not about me. Look at me playing with my child. Look at me doing this. Do a drinking game on that of how many times he said I, me, and how powerful he is. You'd be fucking dead of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, our livers can't handle that.
The whole thing. I mean, and being philanthropic as well. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because most people, when they give and they're philanthropic, again, it's not about you when you're being philanthropic. You're helping others. A lot of people don't want their names attached to it.
Correct. A lot of people just do it.
It's like, here, I don't want anything on this. It's let me help you. Let me do this. It's not let me present you with a giant check with my name on it. Or if you're going to present a giant, make it from like the charity or something that's actually like, that can do more good, not just your name and look how good you are, because that's all this was. But this just shows the deep level of narcissism that, I mean, again, he's so deep into the game of there's no way out. He doesn't see it. Nobody around him sees it. That's why his kids think the way that they do. Maybe someday they'll snap out of it once they get a bit older and get a chance to get into the world and outside of the bubble of Diddy. But holy shit, I mean, this is it's a cult. I mean, it's literally anybody who's diving into this world of him, it is a cult. It is the cult of Diddy. And so many people, as we've heard in these documentaries over the last couple of years, it kind of felt like the cult documentaries. It kind of felt like NXIVM. It felt like any of those where people are talking about getting out of Scientology and things of that nature, of the control, the coercion, and all of that. And how, look on the surface, how great we are. Look how wonderful we are. Look at some of the Scientology videos out there. That famous one where Tom Cruise gives that speech that's like 20 years old now, but everything's so grand and wonderful. Look at me. Look at me. Look how great I am. Tell me how great I am. Aren't I great? I'm great. You're great. We're great. I'm great. I'm great. And that's what this is. And to think that they thought the judge was going to be like, you know what? You can walk out today. I know you got those speaking engagements. And let's talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, please.
The man had speaking engagements planned for this week, literally booked, and had the gall to bring that up in court. Not just like, let's plan these ahead of time. And if we're fortunate enough that they let us out, okay, we can go do this, They literally brought it up in court as like consideration for the judge of like, when you consider sentencing me, just remember he does have some speaking engagements next week already booked.
Oh, well, we must let him out, for heaven's sakes.
It's like, what the fuck?
They're non-refundable tickets.
Oh my God. Like, how delusional does one have to be to get there?
It makes me wonder if his attorneys were drinking the Kool-Aid too, that they were getting sucked into the cult, that they started to believe it, that when the checks were clearing, they went, hey, okay, I'll do anything you want me to do. Because how could you as an attorney sit there and go, well, they've got the receipts. I mean, this guy was stomping on her head in a hallway. We saw it.
Well, the attorneys did pretty damn good in this trial for Diddy at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they did.
Yeah, so they're already doing their victory lap. Their strategy worked.
Good point.
So there's that.
I really can't imagine Again, we all have stuff in our lives that we wish we hadn't done, didn't do, blah, 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 right? We make mistakes, we do stupid stuff. But to think you're going to get in front of a judge and all that and play something like this, I'm still blown away by this. Like this seems like something that you get before like a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Academy Awards or something like that.
Doesn't it?
Doesn't it? It's like you're expecting him to come out to the podium and grab the statue and give a long speech.
Yeah.
Instead he gets sentenced.
Right.
Well, it's a highlight reel.
Yes. The judge said the evidence of abuse with respect to the freak-offs and hotel nights is massive. He acknowledged Diddy's work, yes, called his philanthropic impact commendable, recognized his innovation, his roots, his influence, but then he said the line that will follow Diddy for the rest of his life. A history of good works can't wash away the record of this case. He also said to Diddy, you were no John. You were responsible for that, even if your currency was sexual desires, not the money. And then came the gavel, 50 months, 4 years, 2 months, 5 years of supervised release and a $500,000 fine. No applause, no gasps, just the reality setting in that the brand has failed. Diddy turned to his family and whispered, I'm sorry, but it was too late and the sentence had landed. So what do you think happens next? What do you think? Do you think he's going to keep going in jail with his Diddy fair game or whatever the hell he calls his class once he's in prison, or are we going to see a different Diddy now that he's certainly going to be working for good behavior? But the idea of trying to make everybody think he's a changed man before his sentencing, it didn't work out that great. He still got half of what was requested by the prosecution.
Todd, can you put up the picture again? We're looking at a courtroom sketch if you're watching on YouTube. I want to take a deep dive into the little hand movements he's got here. It's almost like the Home Alone, the oh my God, ah!
I was thinking more the Picasso.
Yes,
the
scream. Yeah, the scream.
It's the Scream. It looks like the Scream.
It does. And I'm wondering who is standing behind him with what almost looks like a pentagram.
It looks like an anarchy symbol is what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. I was going a different direction.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just the interpretation, because it is kind of a weird symbol on that. I think that might be a like an officer of the court, and it might be like a badge.
So maybe it's like a star, like a sheriff.
Probably.
Okay.
There you go.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, my brain went somewhere it probably shouldn't have, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the Satanists that are. It's time to take you back, Diddy. Time to go back. I wonder.
Is anybody in prison going to take his class after this, though?
Of course
they
will.
Absolutely.
Really?
Diddy. Yes.
They want to get that certificate printed off of a dot matrix printer. That says, I took the Diddy class. Zzz, zzz. That's exactly what they want.
The question is, what does that get you? I mean,
I'd frame that shit. That'd be funny on a dot matrix printer.
Yeah, our younger people are going, what is that? Well,
will he offer an online edition of the class, I guess,
Yeah.
is the next question. So we can all take it at home and learn the wild ways of Diddy and how to be super successful, even in the face of adversity. Jesus.
God help us all.
I don't know. Can they stop him from doing it? Can they say you're not allowed to do this stuff, or is he?
Well,
just
he can't profit from it.
It was sanctioned by the Bureau of Prisons.
Jeez, well, that's even worse.
Yeah, it is. It's giving in to this guy's bullshit.
God.
Yeah.
And we're in a world where people like bullshit.
Well,
people like people that plaster their names all over shit left and right.
We love celebrity in this country. If you're a celebrity, you can do pretty much anything you want.
We've proven that.
Yeah. So we'll see how long Ike lasts in prison.
Oh, God.
Pat the Honest, like, Ike, go watch What's Love Got to Do with It.
Go listen to the song first and then go watch it.
I don't care who's wrong or right. I don't really want to fight no more. Too much talking. Great fucking song.
Tina Turner was a fucking legend.
She still is.
Thank you, Todd. Yes, you're right.
And When the Heartache Is Over is also a great album. Or a great
I've
CD.
been listening to that. Actually, I listened to it 3 times over the weekend. Had it cranked up as I was doing a road trip. Heard it several times.
I took that compact disc from Star 105 in Toledo when Todd worked there.
You stole it?
And I visited you, and it was in your office. I'm like, can I have this?
Like, yeah, get it the hell out of here.
Yeah. I was me and my friend, our friend Chris. I was like 17 at the time, and Chris was like 19 or so, and Todd had moved. He was because we're all from the same town, and you were in Toledo, and I had to lie to my parents. I said I was going to like some other town to do a holiday with my girlfriend's grandma or something, and then we were like on the south side of Chicago or so, and then my parents are calling Chris, going, "Wait, what's going on?" Wait, yeah, I had to lie to go visit Todd.
So most people lie to go see their girlfriends or, you know, somebody that they're having a relationship with. You just lied to go to a radio station.
To go see Todd. Yeah.
Radio, yeah. I thought for sure that you had told them you went to like a church getaway or something like that, a church camp or something.
I had broken up with my girlfriend at the time like a week earlier. So that didn't even add up because they called like the girlfriend's mom going, they broke up.
God.
Then I was like, yeah, we're going to go see Todd. Yeah. But yeah. So there you go.
I've got no words. I have just your life, Tony. We should do an episode on your life at this point.
An episode? We could do a series.
A series. Could we?
Random shit.
Yeah.
And I took a bunch of, and I didn't even drink beer at the time, but I took a bunch of Bud Lights from the radio station refrigerator and put them in a backpack and brought them with us. And Chris didn't drink either. So we brought all these Bud Lights along and nobody drank them.
You're like the worst kid. You're like doing these horrible things, but yet you're not doing anything horrible.
Exactly. Right. In very organized like ways that are not going to cause problems.
God.
I think I returned them back to the radio station fridge when I got back.
You stole them, but then you returned them. Everything
I did.
was.
I'm like, I'm not going to drink them. Might as well go back to good use or something, because that radio station always had like liquor in the fridge.
Wasn't it giveaways or was it actually for the staff?
It was like staff. I mean,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of the program. Be sure to press subscribe wherever you're downloading podcasts so you don't miss any of our stories that we cover for you right here. And let us know your thoughts in the comments section there. We do greatly appreciate that. Until next time, for Stacy and Todd, I'm Tony. We'll talk again real soon.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.